Today's topic is about personal branding. You, as an educator, how do you brand yourself in the 21st century? Century where there's a lot of collaboration around the world. We are looking at 21st century skills that educators are trying to incorporate in their teaching and learning.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, great team of educators and school leaders. It's always a pleasure to meet you on every Thursday to connect with you, whether you're talking about Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert or we are talking about growth, personal growth, and professional growth. And so today's session, as we have been directed by Derek, is going to be led by Phelcia Kojwang. Phelcia is a great, uh, what do we call it? Personal, is it what we call it? It's a specialist in communication and matters to do with personal branding. And so she'll be speaking to us about how we as educators can document what exactly we do and how we can actually sustain that as we grow and as we continue to do what we do with our children. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining. My name is Felix Malombe. I'm the Executive Director at STEAM Labs, leading and supporting the team so that we can be able to make a community that is making a difference. So thank you very much. Derek, back to you.
Oh, it's okay. Thank you so much, Felix, for that wonderful speech to us. I hope I'm still not whispering. I hope my voice is clear. So, asanteni sana kwa kujiunga nasi. Acha tumsubiri mwenzetu aweze kuingia katika kikao hiki, aweze kutuelekeza. Tunafurahikia kujumuika nanyi kila jioni kusoma kwa pamoja. Lengo letu ni kwamba sisi sote tuweze kuwa magwiji katika sekta hii ya teknolojia. Tuweze kuitumia darasani kuwafunza wanafunzi wetu na kuwaandaa katika niseme vipi, katika kazi ambazo zinakuja hapa mbeleni. Tunasema the future is yet unknown, the jobs coming are yet unknown. So we all must be ready to prepare them for such kind of uncertain ones. And this challenged all of us as educators to come together so that we can share ideas and find a wonderful way in which we can educate each other, collaborate, and be able to infuse this kind of skills in our learners. So that's why we always come together as educators to share what we know, invite great educators across the world to also share with us what they know. And we are looking forward to many wonderful learning sessions with you, together with you, so that we become greater together. We must change education in Kenya, and it starts with you and me. So, and I'm glad you took it as an initiative on your part to join us to learn together with us. We are also dedicated from our parts to be able to support you in whichever way we can. So we will walk with you this journey. So, you are back? Okay.
Can you hear me now clearly?
Yes, yes.
All right, thank you so much. I'm sorry for the technological problems that I had before. It's good that you can hear me now. I don't know if I should start all over from the top, but my name is Phelcia Kojwang. Like Felix has mentioned, I'm a final year student at Kenyatta University studying information and technology. And I also work at STEAM Labs, and I'm passionate about building online presence and just in general increasing your professional presence online and improving your brand. I'm going to share my screen in a few. Just let me know if you can see it. I'm about to change into something else. See the screen that's loading. Derek or Felix, please confirm that you can see my screen.
Yeah,
we can see it.
Okay,
It's
fantastic.
visible.
Just a minute. Fantastic. I can see now you can see it. So as I said before, we're going to talk about personal and professional branding and it's and the fact that we cannot see each other physically most of the time, and that most of our interactions are limited interactions. It's very, very important to learn how to build an online presence, and to figure out how to increase it and how to brand yourself in a manner that not only speaks to who you are as a person, but also in a manner that speaks to what you do and in a way that somebody else who does not even work in your field can understand what you do in simple and clear terms. And while most of us have been doing that on our social media pages, either on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whichever apps you use, most of us don't know how to actually tailor that in order to fit a certain presence. And so today I'm going to talk about how exactly you're going to do that. And so there are many areas that we can figure out how to do that. But the first one that would be very beneficial to talk about would be LinkedIn, because that's where you meet other professionals, other educators like you, and other people who work in your profession. Other areas where you could talk about who you are and brand yourself further is your curriculum vitae or your resume, or even the cover letters that you write as you're applying for different jobs, different positions, and things like that. And the last one is social media. That is Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and all those apps that you may be. And so, in all these things, what exactly are we going to be talking about? What is our objective, really? Because like I mentioned before, we all know these things. It's very, we see it every other day. We all have social media profiles, even if we don't have them, our children, that is us, me and other people probably use them, and you've probably seen how they can be used to increase people's presence online. And so our objective is not to start building on this knowledge, but to refresh our knowledge and add a few bits to it, on personal and professional branding, to increase our network and build between educators and other people to help us along our journeys, because we are teaching students, yes, but we are also interacting with people who will be able to help their future or propel it even further. And one of the ways to do that is to increase our online presence. And so when you talk about personal and professional branding, what exactly are we covering? We're covering the who. We're talking about what they can do and how they're packaging this information that they're talking about when it comes to what they do and who they are, and what should we not do while we're trying to build a personal profile or a professional profile online. And there's a process to everything. There's a method to doing things. And just like with, how you teach or how you tie your laces in the morning or how you brush your teeth, there's a method to even personal and professional branding. And so there are a few pointers. One is start by impressing. Second is denoting. The third is qualifying. The fourth, quantifying. The fifth is to express. So to impress is basically, how people say first impressions matter. It's basically when you tell somebody who you are in a sentence, what comes to their mind, or what image do they create in their mind if they have not seen you, or if they're just reading about you. And if they go to your profile right now, what are they seeing? What are they reading? What are they getting? And that can be done in a tagline, and it should be done in a sentence. You should be able to talk about who you are and what you do and what you're about in a sentence. And then you denote. What do you do? You could be a mentor, an educator. Aside from that, you could also be doing other side things like, painting and things like that. So how do you denote all of this in a sentence without bombarding somebody, without, loading over them and putting so much information in a sentence? How do you do that? And then there's qualifying it. Can you show it? Can you give instances of the work that you have done? What is there to actually tell that you have achieved a certain thing, taught a couple of students, been in this school, and things like that. And then there's quantifying it, which is basically sorry, I just saw someone asking me to use landscape. So we were at talking about showing your work, and it can be shown in many, many ways. And oh, thank you, Samuel Ngala. So another thing, the next step is to quantify, because you can talk about what you do, yes, but can you really put it in percentages or put it in numbers? For instance, you're an educator. How many students have you taught? What is the impact of your work? Impact can be measured in numbers. Most people understand that and understand percentages. So you can say, I taught 5,000 students, and of those 5,000 students, 50% of those went to Harvard. That's a far-reaching impact. And by quantifying your work that way, we are able to know just how impactful your work is. It doesn't matter if it's 2 students, 3 students, it still matters that you can put it in numbers. And the last thing is to express yourself. A lot of us can talk about what we do, but when you talk about them, especially for people in tech, I keep telling them, can you talk about your science in a way that somebody who is in agriculture can understand it? So can you talk about what you do as a teacher in a way that somebody, let's say, in archaeology can understand it? And we should be able to do that in very simple terms, not use very heavy jargon, not use terms that are hard to understand. Simple always does it. And so we need to learn how to express ourselves and do all these 5 things that I've mentioned here in a way that is simple and concise, yet very, very comprehensive. So on the who, this is where we use personal taglines and short descriptions about ourselves. And things like apps like LinkedIn enable us to do this in the first. When you're creating a profile, you're told to write your bio, right? That's where you write who you are, what you do, things like that. And you see most people there go and write mentor, researcher, educator, things like that. And while those are very individual things, you should be able to connect all of those and put them in one. And when you put them in one, it should say who you are. So yeah, this is where, for instance, when I talk about myself, I say I'm a BSc final year student with specific interest in UI UX design. I'm also passionate about mentorship and things like that. And so that should be said in a line. Essentially, the purpose of that is that to enable maybe recruiters who go through your LinkedIn, because nowadays recruiters ask for LinkedIn profiles, and they should be able to know who you are by just looking at, your bio. This also applies in sorry. This also applies in other social media platforms like Twitter, or even I don't know, Instagram. They allow you to do that, and it's easy for people to know what you do just by looking at that. Even in your CV nowadays, people who use resume or CV templates can see that. And thank you, Irene. People who use CV or resume templates, which are usually easier than the traditional methods that have been there for doing CVs, usually go through write these personal taglines, and a very interesting way to introduce yourself and what you do. Another thing is, so how do you do it? How do you communicate your science? It's not just science that is complex to talk about, it's also what you do. Your science is basically what you do. I say communicate your science because everybody has a way in which they talk about what they do. So like I was saying, use quantifying or descriptive verbs. I managed this program, I analyzed this spreadsheet, I achieved this things by doing 1, 2, 3. You're showing, you're not telling us that you have taught 5,000 students. How? What did you do? How did you do it? And those kind of the things that stand out whenever somebody's reading your LinkedIn. Whenever somebody's reading your Twitter profile, they see, oh, that person did that. And especially when you're doing Twitter posts or things like that. And that Felix will talk about in a few. But yes, Twitter for educators, it works when you show people what you've done in percentages, in actionable words or descriptive, verbs. We live in an age of all of our work is online, and all of our information is out there. So whenever we put out our profiles on social media, we need to be very careful to not add things like our phone numbers, our gender, our age. And it's very easy to take these things for granted. But we see how easy it is for people to be, discriminated against. For instance, if you're applying for a job in the United States, and the first thing you put out there is your picture on your CV or your LinkedIn or things like that. It's not bad to put your picture on LinkedIn, but it's very easy for people to throw around discriminatory or racist remarks on you, or to discriminate you according to your religion or your ethnicity. And just to maximize our chances of or our presence online, we need to steer clear from using these things, and not in a way to remain incognito, but to also protect ourselves. Because if you cannot protect yourself from outward harm, then it's very easy to fall prey to, organizations or situations that make us vulnerable and make us, fall prey under these attacks that sometimes can really mess up with our depression, and it's not good for anybody's mental health. So we need to steer clear away from that. As educators also, I know you talk a lot about how to use formal statements, and because you work in a very formal environment, it's very, this is very easy for you. This second thing is very easy for you to not use informal statements or contracted words. I remember when I was still in high school, or when I was still in primary school, whenever I'd write compositions or insha's, they'd say, don't use contracted words, it still applies even now. Not use contracted words, didn't, and, mostly from negative sentences across a statement like that, or like saying can't or shouldn't or won't, it's very easy. It's very important to learn how to use encouraging sentences. And of course, the last thing, which applies to anybody, everybody, and it can be taken for granted, is impersonation and dishonesty. Whenever you're putting out your profiles out there, the last thing you should do is to be dishonest about who you are or what you do, because people dig into the internet nowadays. They dig, and if they find loopholes in your CV, your LinkedIn, or your profile, or you've taken somebody else's work and you put it as yours, they will find it, and they will, how do you say it in Swahili, watakuanika. No, Kianikwa, it's very bad for your online presence because then you're jeopardized for life. Whenever somebody searches your name, that's the first thing they will see. And there's nothing, you don't want that to happen to you. So, yeah, this is all I'll talk about today in personal and professional branding. Um, Felix will touch on other things that you need to talk about, but if given another session, of course, I will dive in to talk about how exactly you can tailor your LinkedIn or your Twitter to fit the work that you do. But for now, that's it for me. Thank you so much, and I will now invite questions if there are any.
Asante sana Kojwang kwa kipindi hicho. Natumai kimekuwa cha maarifa sana, umetufaa pakubwa. Tunashukuru. As educators, I think we've benefited so much, and we look forward to giving you another session so that you will help us learn how to make our social media presence, especially on LinkedIn. Now that we are educators, we are connecting with the world. And of course, on Twitter, I know Felix Malombe loves Twitter so much. He does a lot of educator tweet meets. And I'm sure the two of you combined, you'll be able to help us so much learn more about professional branding as educators. So as our presenter has said, we welcome questions from you. If you have, please feel free to type in the chat, or you can raise up your virtual hand so that we give you an opportunity to ask us a question. So from the chat, I'm not seeing any question as at now. Neither has the educators raised their hands. Perhaps maybe are we all good? If there's a question you feel like you need to ask, feel free to type in the chat, or you can raise your virtual hand. We give you an opportunity to ask us a question.
I can see somebody named Peter Mwangi has raised their hand.
Okay, yeah, you can come out of mute and just ask the question right away.
Hello.
Yes, Peter.
Yeah, I want to ask on the area of don'ts.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has said that when you are branding yourself, you should avoid things like gender, name, fonts, and what have you.
Yes.
Now, once you've branded yourself,
yeah.
If you don't maybe have your phone number or your contact,
yes.
If people want to get you, how then do they get to you?
Okay. So nowadays, whenever we want to share our contacts, the best way to do that is by email. And that's because with email, you can mark something as spam if you can see it coming. And especially right now, with emails, if you have two-factor authentication or things like that, it helps you, it protects you from getting spammed or getting emails that may have viruses or getting, bullied and things like that. So whenever you want to share your contacts, always use your email address. Or if you have a website, always put your website instead of your phone number, which is a more private thing. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Welcome, Peter. Okay, it seems educators are good today. In a special way, I want to thank our presenter for that wonderful session. Personally, I've benefited so much. And I think I'm going to rebrand myself as an educator. I think I need to do more about branding myself, and I'll be doing so right away. So thank you so much in a very special way for finding it within you to share with us such a wonderful session on personal branding. So at this juncture, allow me to welcome Felix Malombe to take over. So Felix, please feel free to take over and talk to us.
Okay, so thank you very much, great educators, for attending the session and really participating and getting to know what is it that we need to know from out there. Sometimes you might hear some jargon because Phelcia is as a specialist or in tech, but then specifically what she's trying to help us in is the ability for us to be able to build our work. Someone like me, Dr. Joseph, for example, who works very hard, has done a lot of work. Mr. George Osoro, Nixon, even you ask for the slides, Nixon, people like Frederick, people like Timo, if you look at what you do every day, sometimes you might want to say, but after all, I'm employed by TSC, so who cares? Who is going to read all these things for me? Who is going to guide me on the why should I care? And so Derek started by giving an example of Mr. Peter Tabishi. What Peter was doing is that Peter was doing a good job. He was helping children, including using 80% of his salary. But he was not doing that so that he can showcase, to present. Have you ever seen these guys who, after an accident, they want to take a photo of an accident instead of trying to help someone? What thugs are trying to get into the car or into the motorbike to take what is it that the guy was carrying, So we are not saying we go to that extreme. We are just saying, is it possible for us as educators to really do our work? Yes, we are called by God to do this work, but also document so that you can also evaluate yourself, but also so that you can also connect with other professional learning members. I mean, like a PLN, a professional learning community that really shows what you're doing. And a good example, and I'm actually very grateful because we all are looking forward to applying to become MIE experts. That is one of the things that we're looking at. So once you become an MIE expert, you join a community of educators that you share best practices, and Phelcia is giving us some tips on how we can grow in this specific area. So then it's a great opportunity for you as a teacher. Most of the times we keep asking, what's in for me? It is good for you as a professional, especially most of you now that you're thinking even about thinking about your master's or your degree or something. Whenever you do something, take note of what you've done. It can also act as an inspiration for your students or even your own children. And so as you share in the community, you never know, your great-grandchild will see what you posted on Twitter one day and say, wait a minute, is that Whitney? He did this, my grandma or grandfather, sorry. You mean he did all this at this time, at this age, when Corona was here? Oh, thank you, grandfather. That kind of a thing, because it's also part of inspiration. Number two, apart from yourself, remember we keep saying that the class of 2030, the class 2 of today, the year standard 2 or the grade 2 of today will matriculate or will graduate in the year 2030. It means then we are preparing our children to thrive in this environment. Nowadays, it's possible that the jobs that, not the jobs, rather, the things that we do today, in as much as we are talking about remote learning in terms of educators, our children, because we prepare all the professionals, will work in Aga Khan Academy, but that is the one that is in Pakistan. They will work and while they are still in Kenya, they will join universities like Yale in the US and Oxford in the UK. They will join those universities while they are still in Kenya. It is possible our children will work in industries like Microsoft virtually. So the thing is, they will get jobs based on what they put on online platforms. So it's only important for us educators to be equipped to prepare our children for that kind of a life that is coming. So it is not just for Timothy and George, it's not for Sarah and for Felix or for Mr. Derek, who speaks very nice Swahili. It's not just for him, but it's a call for each and every one of us to brace ourselves and get those special skills so that when we put our information, for example, on LinkedIn, it has the right case, that is capital or small letters. It's not just small letters or capital letters, because everything has a meaning. And I think that is what Phelcia was speaking to our minds tonight. Now, as you do that, in this session, while this session is on, it's okay to take a photo and tweet or LinkedIn it. There is such a thing like LinkedIning. I mean, you take a photo, you take a snapshot, and share such a thing online. What that does to you, it shows that you've been building yourself. And when Microsoft Innovative Educator application is asking for artifacts, these are the artifacts. Take a photo, share on LinkedIn. Take a photo, share on on Twitter. So in the next few seconds, I'm going to show us how we can get up and running with Twitter. Because again, Twitter is one of the greatest tools that we can ever have as educators. Allow me now to share my screen. I'm going to take the next 15 minutes, if you don't mind. By 21:15, I should be done, if that you allow me to do so.
It's okay.
Thank you very much, Whitney. Okay, there you go. So tonight, I want to take us straight to the platform that we're calling Twitter. And just trying to, I need to stop this. I might need to pull it to the corner. All right, so we have my presentation. I hope you can all see my screen. We are looking at our digital PLN. And tonight, I'm calling us, let's tweet and tag our way to a strong or a stronger professional learning network. We know there are so many ways you can build your learning network. There are so many ways in which you can build your team. I mean, the people that you join. Most of you are in groups called the champions, the ICT champions in Kenya. Others amongst us are in other communities like MI experts. And that is another example of a professional learning network. But also, what does Twitter give us as teachers as we grow together? That's what we want to see. And tonight, in the next 10 minutes, you should set up your Twitter. And if you have not set up your Twitter, you should now go to your Twitter app. If you have not, you've set up your Twitter account, you have a Twitter account, this is the time to grow your following. Each and every one of us is going to follow each other. So if you have a Twitter handle, please start sharing it on the chat, because we are going to follow you in the next few minutes. That is the way we are going to grow our numbers. Remember, Microsoft looks for people who have, I don't want to say, but we are told not to say, but I think it's okay to say. Actually, Microsoft is very interested in educators who have around 200 Twitter followers. If you have that, you are very blessed. But does not mean that you're not going to become a MI expert if you have 40 or you have 1 or you have 20 by the end of this session. Rather, we're just going to grow that over time. And so Microsoft is going to trust that at least before you become an MI expert, it's important you have a Twitter account. Why? Even the government communicates through that. So you want to see what exactly education can do with Twitter. So I'll move to the next slide. Like I said, my name is Felix Malombe. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya, of course, just like all of us. My Twitter handle is @felmalo. You can see it there. Then there is the other one for STEAM Labs is @STEAMLabsA. And of course, if you follow us, we will follow you. That is a game in tweeting. That's what Akina Robert Life taught us. And then there is Microsoft Edu, because that is where we get all the updates about teams, about the next training, about what next, and another thing. So that is my introduction. Let's see really what why people are interested in this Twitter. Now, Twitter was founded in the year 2006 by Jack Dorsey and his friends, Akina Williams, and you can Google that. In my class, I always say, when you in doubt, Google it. It was founded a few years ago, and what we learned is that from Twitter, we can build our own learning network, professional learning network. And what is this actually? Just to make it clear, a personal learning network is an informal learning network that consists of people a learner interacts with and derives knowledge from. Personal learning environment. It said that in a PLN, a person makes a connection with another, like myself and Derek, like myself and Whitney, myself and, Phelcia, with Sarah, with Stella, and many others. And as we connect, that specific intention that we have is to be able to share knowledge. So when you tweet about what you did with your students, without showing their faces, of course, to protect them. When you tweet your children making a project, or you tweet your children having got A's, it's an inspiration for me. And that is why PLNs are very important. Now, you can build your PLN or professional learning network by either creating a Twitter account. Please ensure you have a LinkedIn account. And in the next session, we can do LinkedIn. Today, we're just focusing on Twitter. Some of us are in Microsoft Educator community, where we find each other. The Microsoft Educator Center. It is part of the PLN because you become MIE. No wonder we are here, MIEs. And then there is also the Microsoft Teams. Did you know you can create your own team, which is a PLN, and add me, add Derek, and add other people? That is how the MIE Microsoft team has been formed. It's just a PLN, and that's where we are here. Of course, we can apart from Twitter, LinkedIn, Microsoft Teams, and Microsoft Educator Center or community, there is also WhatsApp, and that's why we are in this group together, or these groups that we are in together. Let's see how Twitter can help us. So anytime I took a photo, this is a photo I took in 2019 with the leader of Africa Code Week, the guy at the back here. Let me try to draw on him so that we can all, identify with the guy. This guy is Mr. Ade. Ade is a person who works on Africa Code Week, and that's how I met Mr. Derek, by the way, just to mention. And I met this guy from SAP, and they are interested in building capacity of children to code. We all know this lady called, she's now in the US, but she's Kenyan in Mombasa, Ruth Kabeke, and Aisha Abdi. She is very powerful with technology. And then, of course, we know this guy from Meet Alliance, who was, again, working with the YSK, YSK, Young Scientists Kenya. And there is this dude here who did not want to be seen, Mr. Felix Malombe. That is how you can take a photo like that. And what do you do with the photo? Of course, you want to post it like Mr. Alton Salcito on Twitter. Now, Mr. Alton Salcito joined Twitter on November 2011. Okay. This is the following at the time I took this screenshot of his Twitter following. Now, if you try to look at Anton Salcito, the Vice President of Education at Microsoft, our boss, by the way, whenever we are using Office 365 apps, this guy has this kind of following, 75K followers at this time when I took this photo. I think this was a few years ago, but you can, go and check how much he has. And you can see whatever he tweets. He shares on join Microsoft Educator at this one AU. Can't wait to see what you're going to create. And you can scroll down and see what he is doing. Now, by the way, teachers, and no one taught us how to use Scratch. So I'm not going to pretend to teach you how to use Twitter. So in as much as I'm doing this, I'm just doing it for inspiration, to inspire each and every one of us to set up a Twitter account. So what shall we do next? We are going to go to Twitter and you're going to sign up if you've not signed up. And if you've signed up, this is the moment for you to go to on your chat and please share with us. Share with us your Twitter handle. If you do not have that, this is another opportunity for you also. I have 7 minutes for you to create your Twitter account. Look at this. You go straight to this place where it's saying sign up. If you used an account before, you can use your phone number, by the way, and you don't show the phone number as Phelcia has said. You can start with 254. Of course, when you click sign up, it's going to give you an opportunity to put your name and stuff like that. If you have a Twitter account, you can try to log in, and if you don't know the password, you can try to forget and see if you can retrieve your password and all that. You can use an email, and I suggest the personal email. Don't use the TSC email because this is personal information. Okay. All you need to do is go to twitter.com on your laptop, and if you're on phone, you can download the app, or you can go to Google Chrome and open the app. Leaders, teachers, great people of Kenya, let's do this together. We need to just set up our Twitter account. It's going to be of great benefit to each and every one of us, even as we connect with one another. Once you get in, once you click sign in, it's going to give you an opportunity. Now I'm setting up an account for someone with my name. I just picked a name. So I'm putting Favor Malombe, and the email is there. If you don't want to put email, you can click here. It says use phone instead. We are doing Twitter, the course or the topic today, after having an awesome session on social, like personal branding, personal and social branding. Thank you, Church, for following me. I'm going to follow you right back, just like Jeff Koinange. Okay, there you go. You put your year of birth. Again, there you can lie. Please, if you can be authentic, it's okay, because none of us is below 13 years. So that's okay. Once you do that, you click next. And once you click next, I think it should give you, let me see if I can click next, what it will do for me. I was trying to set up this. It says you can customize your experience, track what you see on Twitter and such like things. Yeah, you can just click that. Like I told you, I'm not trying to pretend to teach you everything. I know you can read for yourself to agree to the terms of service and privacy policy. By the way, remember that Donald Trump's account was deleted recently during the elections. And then you sign up. What it will do, it will send a code to your phone number, if you have used your phone number, or it will send a code to your email address. That code, you should put it in, and then you should get in. Okay. All right, I'm going to minimize my screen and I'm going to come back to this. Once you've got in, it's time to tweet. It's time to make your first tweet. And this is a guy called Bin. Bin says, I'm looking for ideas to change up our next class novel read. That is for his students. Anything that uses technology. He's planning for his next lesson. And so he's asking to the community, the PLN, which is English chat, teachers who teach English. And it's also checking people who are Microsoft Educator experts or MIEs like you and I to share their knowledge. So you can reply, you can share a photo, just like that, to respond to his question. So I'm going to do something and I'm going to require those people who are following me to respond at this moment. Allow me to go to my Twitter account. But before I do that, can I show you something? While Ms. Phelcia was sharing, I went directly to my to Stimler's account. I thank you, the media person, for allowing me to access this. And what I did is I said, thank you, Dr. Chao Mbogo, for all you do at Kamilimu. Your daughter, Phelcia, there you go, Jaber, is doing a great job in helping Kenyan educators about personal branding for educators. Now, I will show you something that has happened immediately after doing that. This when she was presenting this slide. Thank you, Phelcia, for speaking to us about impress, denote, qualify, quantify, and express. And while she was doing that, what I did is that I did that, and I shared with the team. What I did is I tagged, because you can tag. These are not things I'm going to say now. You can tag the people you are working with. So right now, I tagged myself because I love myself. After all, God says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. You have to love yourself. And then there is Microsoft Education, because I always share that, especially when you're doing that. I also tagged Dr. Chow. So let's see what happened. Immediately, I did that. Dr. Chow, Dr. C followed us. And Chochi is now following me. Naleya, I know you. You followed me. So I'm going to follow you back. So once you set up your account, you can go back and follow the people who are following you. Chochi, I'm going to follow you, dude or miss. I don't know. Chochi is a dude or a dudette. And Miss Chow, I'm already following you. So that's how you do it, you know. And something to mention is that you can see that what is happening what is happening in the country can be seen. You can see my tags are there. That's Yoweri Museveni. It might not be important to me, but because I follow that guy, it is there. I'm in technology, Microsoft 365. I'm sharing on that. These are the people that are followed up. There is some things talking about Lamborghini there. There is NBS. I'm in Uganda right now. You can see, and there, you can see elections there showing who is leading. John Jogona in UDA. What is UDA by the UDS? Sorry. Then there is a lot of information about the people that I follow, ADHD, and people like Dr. Chifra, who is specifically on things to do with health, sharing on WHO, and all the people that I'm following. You have your own following. So you need to choose the people to follow. But at this stage, let me stop at that. Instead of sharing a tweet, because my time is now spent, what I'm going to do, I'm going to move to the next, and I'm going to tell you some of the great minds that you need to follow. The first one is Mike Thompson. Mike Thompson is a great educator for Microsoft. Follow him on LinkedIn, follow him on TikTok, follow him on, I know you're saying TikTok. Yeah, the guy is big on TikTok. Follow him on Twitter and so forth. This is a great guy to follow to get insights about what's happening around education. Once you join Twitter, that's the first person you want to follow in education. Of course, after me, that guy comes first after me. And that's why I'm sharing my Twitter stuff there. You can follow me, I can follow you. You follow me, I follow you. And sometimes I'm over speeding. So if I rush you, I'm going to be sharing. Thank you, Anthony. I'm following back. There are two ways of searching someone. If you want to follow, you can just write at Felmalo, at STEAMLabs A, or you can just write the whole name, STEAMLabs Africa, or Felix Malombe. Or you can write Derek, I don't know, Derek Charles. There is something I want to see around that, Okay. After that, you can now go ahead and follow OneNote, like Dr. Karanja, not Dr. Karanja. Yeah, Karanja Dixon is going to become a doctor. I just prophesied. Oh, that's what we hear sometimes, but I don't know. So, OneNote, EDU, is where you get information about what Derek Dixon was talking about recently. Because Mike Thompson was the leader for OneNote, by the way. If you want to play Minecraft, and we'll be doing a session on that in the month of August, we have Playcraft Learn. If you want to focus on STEM and STEAM, you want to follow STEAM Labs Africa and Hacking STEM. You want to follow updates on Microsoft Teams, it's there. And Jaber is here, you need to follow her. Then Office Sway, we know Sway, just follow it. And that way we will grow together. These are some of the key PLC communities that you want to follow. among others that I'll be sharing on our Twitter platform so that we go together. Again, this is Stan Badilo. He is a great teacher, sharing some of the things that he got and the feedback that he got. As I come to the end of the session, let me say something about what some of the tips that you should keep as an educator. You are told be real, a real person. Do not copy paste other people's stuff. Just be real. Don't say these things about, we have young people and we call them slay queens and slay kings. They're just sharing anything. And in Kenya specifically, there are three things that trend. One is about politics. Number two is about breaking news. And number three is the one that those slay kings and slay king queens do. So they share everything that is vulgar, and that's how they get following. Please, as teachers, we can't do that. We have to stay clean, like those people who run without those kind of stuff. So because we are modeling behavior for our children, we have to, whatever we tweet, whether it is on WhatsApp status or on Twitter or on LinkedIn, is consistent. So be real, a real person, and do not fake it to, I don't know, they say fake it to do what? Then stay active. I'm going to tweet about these tips that I'm just sharing. So I'm going to screenshot them. And I'm going to say, thank you, Felix Malombe, for sharing on this. And I'm the one who is saying that. I mean, I stay active. You keep sharing, keep tweeting. Like Koinange Jeff says, keep tweeting. Go easy on hashtags. What does that mean? Don't just tag John, who is singing to be winning for UDA. I'm just saying, I'm not predicting anything. Or Karidin Jama. Don't tag those people. Those are politics. We are in education space. Let's stay clean, and then ensure you protect your children. If you are doing something like this, you have to ensure that their faces are not seen. Do not ever share the information. Otherwise, TSC, the child helpline, everyone will come after you, including myself, if you share a photo of my student or my child. Please ensure your hashtags are clean, ensure you stay active, and ensure you go easy on hashtags. Always protecting our children or our students. And then, of course, we know the MI Educator Center. Please go and sign up, of course, if you have not. I know most of us have done that. And that is a photo of my friend. And we did Skype in the classroom. I just want to announce at this stage that on August 5th, we are going to have a speaker from Flipgrid, not myself this time. Someone is going to come and speak to us about a Flipgrid and how we can use it to build our PLN as well, because it uses videos. Something to mention is that Microsoft now, not Microsoft, rather Twitter now, has got something called, the way we have Facebook story, Instagram story, Twitter has been having something called Fleet. And Fleet is going to be resting in that. And what they have introduced right now is something called Twitter Spaces. So you can have a conversation with Dixon or Gwen, Dixon Karanja, Felix, Whitney. We can have a discussion in the morning, like a podcast, where we just talk about what is happening, and thereafter we, share with our students or with our community as we build our PLN. All right. Can you imagine every morning hearing from news from Rwanda and every time hearing news from Kisumu using Twitter Spaces? That's what we are looking at. And guys, just like that, this is the end of my presentation. Thank you. Please, let's see if there are any questions or comments. Back to you, team. Oh my goodness, there are so many hashtags on the chat. Can we get these codes and follow, please? Can we follow, guys? Can we follow each other? And keep tweeting. I'm going to start with Mr. Maxwell Oduor. Yes, Adhiambo.
Yes.
Yes, I can hear
Hello.
you. Yes.
Yes, I appreciate. Though I joined late because of the network problem, I really tried to join,
Yes.
but they kept on telling me that we could not connect you to the meeting. So it is network problem, but I appreciate the bit from where I started it up to the end. I appreciate. Next time, plan another one. This one I've missed it, but I've never missed from the first one since we joined this group, and I'm happy about the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What we're going to do, we're also going to share the what we call it. Thank you. Welcome, Maurice. I'm going to share the recording as well so that you don't have to miss anything, or at least upload it on the YouTube so that you can always visit it at all times. Okay. Any questions?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Go ahead, please, Mr. Joshua.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, very clearly.
Thank you very much. Actually, I'm humbled. It's a great opportunity. I didn't know that such kind of events take place. Actually, I think at the diaspora, maybe we usually talk about the grassroots. I think we do not know that these things exist. I'm really grateful. I wish we could have more of these so that we can actually get this exposure. It's very important for us. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Mr. Joshua. Keep tweeting, keep tweeting. You need to tweet and say it was an awesome session. Okay, I'm kidding. You can say it was a boring session. You can say whatever you want. It's that tweet, but don't bully someone. Any comments, any message, any question? Joel Kitso, I'm going to follow you. Keep following people, keep following people. Let's build a PLN, guys. Let's follow each other so that we can grow. Joel Kahindi, got you. Kindly write your, I mean, what is it calling? There, I'm going to follow you. I'm going to follow everyone. Mr. Morris, you need to put @ not hashtag. So that we can follow you and we can give you some following. Teachers, we have to support each other. And if you've not set up your Twitter, you can still set it up and share on the meeting, on the groups that we have for MI experts, for either from Nyanza, from Central in Kenya, Central and Eastern, every part. You can share your hashtags there. We can follow one another. It's a good way to connect and build our PLNs. We are also helping each other. Remember what I said, that Microsoft is also looking for teachers who are connected to each other, because that is how we're going to support this community called MI Experts in Kenya. Hey, Mr. Samuel Wanyoika, gotcha. All right, following one another. Let's grow those numbers from 40 to 50 at least, and then we keep tweeting as we build our PLN. We have 4 minutes to make people grow. If you stuck at, sometimes it gives you a challenge to find your username. What you normally do, you're just going to give us your name, and you're going to ensure that you have your photo there. That way we are going to be able to support you. Okay. Okay, I'm going to share one of the Twitter account to follow. I'm going to go back to the presentation. here is some here are some of the follow something to follow, I mean a group to follow. But having said that, there is also others which I had shared. Microsoft EDU, can follow this. Phelcia K also, Jaber there, you can also follow her for more tips on personal branding. The other thing you can do is go to the chat. Either you cannot, I think some people cannot access the chat, like myself. I don't know what happened. I don't know why Teams does this. Leonida is there. I think I've already followed you. So, you know, Elder Muisa, you need to follow people, follow Isaiah. I can see you there. Let's go this guys. Well done. Now, something to say. Let me stop sharing. Everyone can go to chat. You can pick a few people. Just something to share is that please, whenever you are setting up your accounts, this is something I've noticed. We keep losing track. It's important that we do the following. One, if you are using your names as Peter Mwangi, Peter, let me use you, please, my brother. Right, Peter Mwangi. If I'm using you as an example, what oh, Mr. George Osoro, let me just pick that. Okay, Mr. John, from Rwanda, I cannot access the chat. I don't know what's happening there. Joe, what you can do is, oh, what can I do now? I don't know. Let me just finish this statement. That what you need to do is, if you're using Peter Mwangi as your name on Facebook, let that name be the one that you're using on LinkedIn, on TikTok. By the way, TikTok is a great tool for your students. You learn as you go, by the way. One day we'll do a session on TikTok. So if you're using that, the same link, use Morris Nzioka, Morris Peter Mwangi, George Osoro, Editor Njagi. Use the same, information across platforms. It means then if it's LinkedIn, you are Peter Mwangi. On Twitter, you are Peter Mwangi. On TikTok, you are Peter Mwangi. On Facebook, you are Peter Mwangi. It really helps for those people who will be looking for you, like we have been told on social personal branding. That is very important for each and every one of us. It's just something to reinforce. And if they are not the same, you can go and change a little bit if there is a concern. So, you have to go and do that. I need to change these notifications. So I can see Athman there. I can see, yeah, thank you. So you need to go and change that information so that it's consistent. Please do not use different names. Like, for example, my other name is Felix, Malombe, the other one is Felix, Monzia, another one is Felix. I don't know what. You have to be consistent so that you can actually gain followers and you can grow your PLN. Can see Derek there. He's trying to change. Derek, can you change that from from capital to small letters? That's how we appreciate that you've really you've changed that. So go to profile and change team members. I'm going to hand over this program back to Charles because I can talk till morning. The other thing I should have done is become a radio broadcaster, and I need to stop. Thank you, and Charles, back to you. The program is back to you.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to show them using one name. Charles Derrick, you can see like mine. Here I am having on Twitter, this is me. Me, the same name, so it becomes easier for people to follow you. So I think, as Felix has said, make it easier for people to follow you and be easy. So that is it. Thank you so much. And I think we've benefited so much as educators, and we are going to rebrand ourselves as educators, and we are going to connect. We are going to follow each and every one of you. I'll be following everyone who is on the chat, and so that we grow together and form a great learning community. So from me, thank you so much all for having spared your evening to learn together with us. Tumeshukuru sana kwa muda wenu, na tunazidi kuwarai mzidi kujumuika nasi tuweze kusoma mambo mengi pamoja. Mimi nimeshukuru sana, asanteni nyote, muwe na wakati mwema.